when I
wow,
first
I did
met,
not know that.
I didn't either. When I first met Luke, I really did not like him, but I really didn't like Kristen either. But
Right.
as the valley's going on, I don't hate Kristen anymore.
I know.
I've grown to like her.
Me
And
too.
Luke just as much. I've grown to like Luke too. Like I feel like he is a mature, sensible person, which is in these TV shows lately, right?
And I'm totally with you.
Okay, you are
So
so
she texted
funny.
me last night. She's like, I'm watching it now. I'm like, are you ready to go to LA?
Are we booking our flights?
Are we doing this? Just kidding. That's not a threat, Janet.
No,
I
it's
know you
not.
said you're getting threats, so that's not a threat.
So
Just
funny.
kidding.
So then we are at Jesse's house, and Scott, the life coach, is there. Again, Jesse's front door just blows my mind.
No funny business in that shower.
But then we find out. No, we didn't find out on the after show. There was 2 bathrooms.
Did I write it down? Yeah, I'm like, there has to be another stop it. Like,
There's 2 bathrooms. But Zack said that Jesse wouldn't use the other bathroom because that was the bigger one that Benji and Zack were in. So he would only use the bigger one. So Jesse.
he's like such a princess.
He's so Jesse. So Jesse.
Yeah.
So they have cabanas reserved. I also thought it was
I want to go to a
interesting.
swim up bar. I want to go somewhere that has a swim up bar.
I do too. I would like to do that. Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join 3 Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
We are talking about The Valley, Season 2, Episode number 11. This one is called El Coyote Ugly, which I guess was the name of the restaurant that they went to.
Yeah, I think El Coyote was the restaurant.
I guess I thought it was Coyote Ugly because of the...
I think it was El Coyote, and then they just added the ugly because of the behavior and the movie.
Yes. Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. So we start out at Kristen and Luke's house. I did not realize that they bought a house.
Well, they're renting it.
Okay, because Luke
We saw them. Remember they had that house warming?
I know. I remember the house warming, but it's just rented. It's not bought.
I think they rented it.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, he wants to like split their time, I think was what she said last season. Like, he doesn't love LA, although he said in this conversation,
yes,
this house makes him like it more. But he's from, I think, like the Midwest or something. Like, he's like an outdoors guy. So he wants to split their time.
He does. Yes. But I was glad to hear that, he's changed his perspective and maybe possibly raising children in LA.
Right.
I didn't watch that much of it, but I started watching a little bit of the watch party that Kristen was doing for the McBee dynasty.
Yeah.
And I just watched a couple minutes of it, but she had said in that Luke actually owns 70 acres of land. I knew he owned land, but he owns 70, wherever he's from in the Midwest, he owns 70 acres.
So no wonder he wants to split his time. I mean,
yeah,
he's sitting on a nice piece of property. He can do anything he wants with that.
Right.
And how cool would that be with a little kid?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, when I first
I did not know that.
I didn't either. When I first met Luke, I really did not like him, but I really didn't like Kristen either. But as the valley's going on, I don't hate Kristen anymore. I've grown to like her. And Luke just as much. I've grown to like Luke too. Like I feel like he is a mature, sensible person, which is in these TV shows lately, right? These reality shows.
It is. And it's interesting because, Kristen's been doing reality TV for so long. So she and Jax obviously know the formula.
Yeah.
But they're both following it very differently.
Yes, they are.
Like, she'll get into it when she needs to get into it, like with the Janet and Jason ring thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not doing what Jax is doing. I mean, I don't even know if Jax is doing anything on purpose to make good TV. I think Jax is just a fucking disaster.
I think so too.
Yeah, and people think that's good TV. I don't like I would prefer Jax to not be on the show, but I know I'm in the minority. I mean, I listened to 2 T's in a Pod, and Tamara and Teddy were like, "He is the show. It is his show." I don't personally agree with that, but I know a lot of people do.
I don't agree with that either. I think that they can have the show without Jax. I don't think it's his show.
I mean, Vanderpump went on without him. Vanderpump didn't fold without him.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Luke, even in his confessional, says that he's not going anywhere and he's there for the long haul, which I was really glad to hear that. Then we see Nia and Danny. They're meeting up with Zack and Benji. Zack admits that he enjoys having Benji around because he has someone there to cook for him because he's not very good at cooking for himself. I mean, I know that's not the only reason he's happy to have Benji around, but it's just a little added bonus. And Nia says to Zack, like, we know you already know about what's going on. And, you know, like, she's like, how did you figure it out? And he's like, well, I kind of like watched the signs and, you know, Kristen and I have been best friends for a long time. So it makes sense, right?
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
So she asks them if they can invite Janet and Jason to Hawaii because obviously it's not going to be sincere coming from them because they're not even really speaking at this point.
Right. Honestly, I don't think they should have. I think they should have left Janet and Jason out of it, just like Janet and Jason left Kristen and Zack out of Big Bear last year. It's a group trip that Danny and Nia are supposedly planning. Janet and Jason aren't good with them. It's really about Kristen and Luke getting engaged. Janet and Jason aren't good with them. And Zack is supposed to be the co-host of the trip, and they're not getting along with him either. They should have just cut them out of the damn trip.
I don't think that I don't agree with you on that. I think it is a cast trip, and I think the entire cast should be invited. I mean, we didn't like when they left Zack, just because two wrongs don't make it right. Just because they left out Zack and Kristen.
I'm very immature, though.
You are sometimes.
I really am.
I know. We've always said if it's a cast trip, the whole cast should be invited, and I stand by that.
I just hate her. We were talking about it at the salon yesterday. I'm like, so the one stylist, Meg, was like, I'm not caught up yet. I'm like, you get caught up because you're gonna want to go to LA and hunt down Janet. And I'm totally with you.
Okay, you are so
she
funny.
texted me last night. She's like, I'm watching it now. I'm like, are you ready to go to LA?
Are we booking our flights?
Are we doing this? Just kidding. That's not a threat, Janet.
No, it's not.
I know you said you're getting threats, so that's not a threat.
You're so funny.
Just kidding.
So then we are at Jesse's house, and Scott, the life coach, is there. Again, Jesse's front door just blows my mind. Nobody can figure out how to open it. Nobody.
No.
Nobody. So he's going to be doing with Jax, Danny, Jesse, and Luke. He's going to be doing like a men's mental health circle, like this healing circle. And Scott told Jesse about it. And Jesse's like, oh, this is a really good idea. Like, you know, we're not all getting along. And this would be good for us to do. So Danny says, I'm glad that this is happening, you know, because we're still, you know, going on this trip together. And then Jax announces that I'm not going. Well, we know Jax isn't going. By the way, Jax keeps announcing that he's not going because he wants to stay home with Cruz. My thought is Jax is not going because production told him he cannot go.
Totally.
I am sure production told Jax, you are not going because Brittany is going and she does not feel safe or comfortable with you there. And you're not going.
And you're supposed to be in recovery. And this is like a party trip.
Well, you can go and be sober, but he can't.
He can't.
No, he can't. Which, by the way, I did look up the whole sobriety thing. So he did go to the first rehab for 30 days. He did finish his 30 days. And then he came out. And then he had another incident in the car, which we heard about on the way to the doctor's office because he was, you know, coming down off of coke from the night before. And he saw the text message from Julian and like lost it. So that's when Brittany again called producers and was like, he's got to go. And he didn't fight. He said, okay, I'm going to go. And he went and he signed himself in. And then he left one day later, but then he went back and he wound up staying 17 days. And everyone has admitted that the 17 days did him better than the first 30. Everyone on the cast, Jax included, said that the first 30 days
I wonder if he went to a different place.
That is a very good question. That I do not know. That the first 30 days he did not get out I mean, obviously he didn't. If he comes out and he's drinking and when he tells us that he's got a cocaine problem and,
No, that, yes. And the fact that he was rage texting everybody while he was in the facility.
right.
That place was just placating him wherever he was. So hopefully the second time around was a better fit.
Right. Hopefully, I can't imagine it was the same place, right? I can't. Why?
I mean, why go back to a place that didn't help you? Because it didn't help you.
Right. Right. So, and I do believe, based on the things that I've seen, I do believe he is sober right now. Like currently, as we speak, since the last time we saw him on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
I think he was sober.
So when
then.
he gave the number of days that he was clean, when he was on Watch What Happens Live, is that from the time he left from the second stay?
That is what I think. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I believe from the
hopefully that's
second
true.
stay. Yes. And, he's been maintaining that this is the first time he's been sober from these things in over 10 years,
Right.
probably 20, because he's been doing this a long time. He's been doing this a long time. So Scott says, we can carry resentment and we can carry things, and it's called a list. He goes, but what I want you to do is I want you to clear this list with the people here that you need to clear the list with. So I want you to stand up and I want you to put your hand on the chest of the person you want to clear this list with and then speak to them. And Jesse's like, well, I mean, I invited you here, so I guess I'll go first. And he's like, I would like to start with Luke. Okay. That was a softball.
It was a softball, and I didn't even really understand it.
No, there was nothing to understand. It was just him going through the motions because he chose Luke, who, he put his hand on his chest.
He has no beef with.
Exactly. It was just him going through the motions,
And he says something about blind loyalty to his girlfriend. Of course he has blind loyalty to his girlfriend. If he didn't, he'd be an asshole.
Right. And he's referring to the whole situation when, Kristen was yelling that she's been cheating on you. Right. Right. And he said, it made me feel mad and it made me feel aggressive and I'm willing to let that go. Okay. That was the biggest bunch of bullshit. Like that was play. That wasn't real.
Sure. For sure.
So then Jax is like, okay, so basically you just sit here and clear your list of everyone. And Scott's like, no. He's like, but I can hold a place for everyone if you want. Like, I will be your stand-in. So Jack's like, okay. So Scott's like, okay, put your hand on my chest. And I don't know if you noticed, but Jax put his hand on his shoulder, on Scott's shoulder, not on his chest. I was like, he can't even get, it's the simple instruction. Put your hand on my chest. Okay. Puts his hand on his shoulder.
I did not notice that, but that's hysterical.
So Scott says, look in my eyes. And Jack starts crying. He's like, I'm having a really hard time in my life. I'm a very angry human being. I've been like this my whole life. I take this out on everybody, especially my wife who's not here. I don't want to do this anymore. And
we've heard this before.
Right. Absolutely. We've heard this before.
We've heard him say, I don't want to do this anymore so many times.
Yep. And then Scott says, listen, people are watching you and they like to see a redemption story. They'd like to see that little boy in you, come back. So don't give up, kind of trying to hype him up. That I think it's interesting that he said, people are watching you. That's all Jax wants. I mean, this is his show, right?
Of course it is.
And they like a redemption story. Okay. Well, as soon as he said those words, Jax was like, oh, I'm in. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then Danny says, I'll go next. And he goes up to Jason and he puts his hand on his chest and he says, I love you. I didn't show it last week. I said some things to your wife that I didn't mean. And I feel really bad for saying those things. And they hug. Jason says, I'm not sure I'm fully ready to let everything go. But
yeah, Jason's like, I'm going to have to go home.
Right.
And see what Janet thinks about this. And whatever Janet tells me to do is basically how I'll feel. So I'll call you in about an hour or two.
Right.
Let you know where we stand.
Right. That's what he meant to say, but that's not what he said. I mean, we know that because we can read between the lines with Jason, right?
Yep.
And then Jason says, well, me and my wife's relationship with Danny and Nia is not really repaired yet. Jesse said that I'm surprised that Jesse said that, is hiding his drinking.
Yeah.
Scott says, by hiding your drinking, like, what does that mean? Like, you go to the bar and you like order 3 drinks, but you only come back with 1. So it looks like you've only had 1. And Danny says, I've done that.
Yeah.
I was like, good for you, Danny.
I was surprised he admitted it. I'm glad he admitted it.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, listen, that does show that he has some kind of unhealthy relationship with alcohol.
Yes, it does. It does. And I think
It doesn't mean he's a full-blown alcoholic and needs rehab like Jax, though.
No, but it does mean that he needs to reevaluate it. And
Yes,
I know
and
he
make
has said
better
in the
choices.
past. Yeah, he has said in the past that, you know, him and his wife have, you know, open communication. And when she says it's a problem, I've addressed it and I've
Right.
stopped. And he's
Right.
been able to do that on his own. So it seems to me like he's at that place again and he's admitting it to them. And I honestly, I've liked Danny from the beginning, but I
Yes.
give him a lot of credit for being so vulnerable with these guys and, you know, being truthful.
Right. I totally agree.
Jason admits that Danny admitting this is a huge step forward. You know, this whole thing is kind of over now at this point. Then we cut to the girls are over at the El Coyote bar. And it's everybody. It's Jasmine, Nia, Melissa, Sheena, Brittany, Janet, Michelle, and Kristen. I don't think we've seen them all together yet this whole season, right?
Maybe at the housewarming party and maybe at Jesse's, but there was no
I think
scene
so.
with all. They might have all been there, but there
I
was
don't
no
think they
scene with
were.
all of them there.
I think there was always somebody missing. I think that there was always somebody missing at those places.
And even the beach, they weren't all there because Nia
Yeah.
wasn't at the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nia admits that her and Janet are not good, and Nia announces that they have this Hawaii trip coming up, and that we also find out that Aaron is going to be coming. Michelle announces that Aaron's coming on this trip.
Yes.
Michelle says she thinks that if Aaron's there, maybe Jesse won't act up as much. I mean, that is wishful thinking, Michelle.
That is, you are not right.
I mean,
you are not correct on that.
You were married to him. You know who he is. Like,
yeah, it's probably going to be worse.
Yeah. Michelle says, before we move forward, it's come to my attention that people keep talking about my boyfriend and the people that he slept with in the past. And she's directing this towards Kristen. Like, she's looking at Kristen and directing it towards Kristen. When Kristen didn't really have anything to do with this.
No.
I mean, yes,
Jenna
Jenna was
first happened at the housewarming party. Oh,
right.
It was Kristen and Luke's housewarming party. So
Yes,
maybe she's blaming them for bringing Jenna into the. I mean, that is the first time we saw Jenna film, though.
That is the first time we saw Jenna film, but it was Zack, and Zack admits it in his confessional.
Right, Zack did admit it.
Zack is the one who brought it to Jesse's attention.
Yes.
Although Jenna was there at Kristen's party because Kristen is friends with Jenna.
Yes.
It was Zack. It was Zack that did it. And he said,
and he did admit it. You're right.
He said it was me. Jenna jumps in and says, well, you went behind Michelle's back and said that she was a cheater. And then that's when Kristen says to Janet, like, why are you getting involved? And I agree. Why was she getting involved?
Because she's an asshole.
Yeah.
And she has studied reality TV because she has desperately, thirstily wanted to be on it.
Is that a word?
No.
Okay.
I just pulled a Lori. I'm drinking tonight.
Good for you. Good for you.
And she studied it, and she thinks she knows. She thinks she knows what she has to do to become a great reality TV star. Meanwhile, everyone in America hates you, Janet. And once this show goes beyond America, everybody in those countries are going to hate you too. So, I mean, I don't know. You might want to reevaluate your formula.
Yeah, Janet does not help when she opens her mouth. But then Michelle goes on to say, listen, my ex-husband hates me and he's trying to ruin me, which I do understand. I do believe that is true. I do believe that Jesse has said it. Anything he could do to make her miserable. I mean, he does things purposely to annoy her and make her miserable on purpose. So Kristen says, listen, I will not bring Jenna around anymore. You know, if I know that I won't bring her around. No big deal. And Janet once again jumps in. Well, you already did. Okay. Well, we can't change the past now, Janet, can we?
Even Brittany was telling Janet to stop.
Yes.
Even Brittany was like, all right, Janet, enough.
Yes, exactly. So Kristen then said, this is a conversation that Michelle and I could have had without you getting involved. And Janet starts getting very loud and says, someone needs to hold you. And she's like, accountable. Like, she's like singing it. A word that you can't stand, like, really I mean, she was, like, out of control obnoxious.
Yeah, like, was she drunk? Not that
It
that's an
turns
excuse.
it turns out that she was really drunk, they were
She
saying.
was. That's right, that's
That
right.
it turns out that she was very, very drunk. But still.
Interesting. So
Right,
is this Dark Janet?
right.
Is this Dark Janny, shall we call her?
Yeah, yes, and yeah, she was so obnoxious. That's when
She was
Brittany's like,
way too
"Yep."
obnoxious.
Brittany says, "Come on, Janet." Kristen says, "I'm being disrespected as fuck right now, and I'm not having it." So she says,
Mhm.
"I'm out," and I don't blame her. I don't
I don't
blame her.
blame her either.
So Janet yells, "See you, make sure you get your to-go box." Again,
Like,
like,
shut the fuck up.
you did not have to say that.
No.
Meanwhile, she's saying goodbye to Nia. Nia is visibly upset. Nia starts crying. I think it was Sheena that looked over at Nia and said, "Are you okay?" Nia, and then Janet's yelling, no, Kristen's yelling, "I'm done. I'm fucking done. This is
And
not
Nia was
even,
saying, "It's just too much." She's
it's
crying
just
and
too
saying,
much.
"It's just too much." And
It's too
Janet's like,
intense."
"Yeah, it's too intense." And Janet's
Yep.
like, "Oh, every time it gets too intense, you cry." And, like, honestly, I would have had now, I listened to Dolores and Tamara talk about this, and I do somewhat agree with Dolores. Like, you're getting paid to be there, finish the scene. You can't get up and walk away. However, on Jersey, if this happened, shit would have been flying, possibly fists. I got like a little anxious watching this because I was thinking if I was crying, visibly upset, and Janet was acting like that,
No,
I
you would,
would have fucking popped her right in the
you
face.
absolutely would. You
Popped her right
absolutely
in the face. I would have been kicked off the show. That would have been it for me. I mean,
I
but
did.
I see why Kristen and Nia left because
I
that's
do
it's not
too.
them.
It's not them. And, I heard Dolores say that. I don't necessarily agree with her. I don't think it doesn't have to go to the conclusion of violence because
Right.
that's what would happen.
Because she's Jersey and Tamara's OC, that's
Right.
where both those shows probably would have led to.
That's where they go to. But the other thing is the fact that Janet was so trashed leads me to believe that this was many hours in. They
Had to
weren't
be.
just like,
Unless she pre-gamed somewhere.
I mean, she could have, but she kept saying that what was in these margaritas, they were so strong. And then I think they did shots of tequila there too. I think they were there for quite some time. And I
Yeah.
think that it was wrapping up at this point and it just wasn't going to end well. And I personally think what they did was fine. And
Yeah. I mean, for them, yes.
when Nia walks out, she says to her, "Fuck you, Janet," right? They
And
they were
even
talking about that.
Kristen, like, Kristen's in a place where she wants to start a family. Like, listen, we've seen Kristen pop off plenty of times on reality
Mhm.
TV. The fact that
Yeah.
she didn't shows
Right.
huge growth in
Yes.
this woman.
Yes.
Huge growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they leave, right? I think everyone else left after that too, because we didn't see anything else. There was nothing else going on. The next scene they give us is they're all doing this field day together. I
So
mean, seriously,
weird.
could we have not cut out the field day scene? What in that field day scene did we need to see? Was it that Jenna showed up as the referee? Is that what we needed to see?
I think
Seriously.
so. And the fact that Jasmine and Melissa were hosting it and Jenna showed up. So now it's Jasmine bringing Jenna into the group.
Yeah, because Jasmine admitted that she asked her to referee it she knew.
Jenna is the new Joe. Jenna is the new Vanderpump Joe.
Yeah.
Joe,
Right.
Schwartz's friend.
Yes. So the stupid field day, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it, but I'll just give
I
you.
know.
The referees are Sheena and Jenna. There's a red team and a purple team. The red team is Jasmine, Britt, Brock, Benji, Zach, Danny, Michelle, and Nia. The purple team is Melissa, Janet, Kristen, Jack, Jesse, Jason, and Luke. Okay.
I don't even have notes on field day. I have Jasmine, Melissa, Zach, and Benji host field day. And then I go to Luke drops off the gecko.
Okay. Well, there was two challenges. There was two challenges. One was the egg toss challenge, where they spin around on the bat 3 times and then they run the egg. There's no tossing the egg. I don't know why they're calling it the egg toss
Right.
challenge. And the
Right.
next was the tug of war. Red team won both challenges. That was it. That was the field
Right.
day.
That
was
was
the
it.
biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You know what it probably was? It was probably Jasmine and Zach just trying to get like a, you know, just host something so they get some airtime, because they kind of are like friends of, right?
But they're not. They're in the full cast photo.
I know, but they're so like they don't focus on them enough. So that's probably their way of trying to be focused on, but it was kind of a flop. I love a good field day. We still have to plan that, our beer Olympics with the boys, but this one kind of fell flat. It was just weird because nobody's getting along.
Yeah, and it made no sense. It just made no sense.
Mm-mm.
So, like you said, then we see Luke goes to Kyle Chan's to drop off the get-go and pick up the ring.
Was Jax at field?
Yeah, Jax was at
Okay.
field day. Yeah,
Okay.
because I didn't say this, but the producer asked Britt if she had heard from Jax since he was served, and she said he texted me and he said he didn't expect it, but he understood it. So that's how it was addressed, and he was there, but they didn't
And she
interact.
did. I do have that Brittany told Janet that she's still happy with what she did, but
Yes.
she's sad,
Yeah.
which, we've talked about this. It's probably just, it's not, she doesn't miss him because he's a monster, but she misses her family unit.
Right. She's sad for what could have been, which will never
Exactly.
be. And
Exactly.
Jax also at the field day does go up to Kristen and thanks Kristen for being so nice to him at Jesse's house.
Yes. Yes, he
Which
did.
again, that's growth right there too.
Growth, for
Right.
sure. Jax should try it.
So when Luke gets the ring, he lets Kyle Chan know that they're going to visit his grandma because she has cancer and she's not doing well. And you could see how upset he was about that. Oh, I think he's nervous about the getting
Yeah.
engaged. He's upset about his grandmother. He's got a lot on his mind right now. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on. Next, we see Jax is sitting at the restaurant waiting for Britt, and he orders his coffee and his Diet Coke. Have you seen those Facebook pages where they're like people are like pro Jax? Oh my God,
No.
oh my
I haven't
God,
seen any of that.
there's whole Facebook pages where they're like, Jax is getting the short end of the stick. Like,
I have seen, people have commented on our posts, like, Brittany, all she does is party.
yeah, she
Listen,
needs rehab too.
I don't think that's fair. But we really don't know. Listen, we only know what these people show us. But I'm going to say this. I think that Brittany's mother seems like a very solid person, and she's there a lot helping out with Cruz. I think if Brittany really had a problem or her partying were getting in the way of her taking care of her child, I think her mom would be stepping in. And I think her mom, not only because she's obviously stepping in, but I think her mom would be bringing some attention to it and possibly trying to get her off the show, out of LA. Like, I feel like her mom would be more proactive and we would know about it.
Yeah, I don't think that Brittany has a problem. I do think that she drinks every now and then. I think
Listen, they're in a group of friends that like to drink and party. Obviously,
Right.
that's why they're all friends. Obviously, that's kind of why they have a show right now.
Right.
So who knows what she's doing when she's not filming? When you're filming, this is what you're filming. You guys hanging out. What do you do when you go out with your friends? You eat and drink.
Right. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do.
But I haven't seen any of those pages. That's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, they're like, oh, poor Jax. I can't believe Brittany left him sitting there at the bar. I'm like, what? Yeah.
That blows me away.
Yep.
That we can all be watching this show and see something completely different. I understand people if they say that Michelle is annoying, her voice annoys them.
Right.
I don't understand people who defend Jesse with Michelle. Like you've said before, we see right through him. He is a narcissist.
Yes.
He, like you said earlier, admits to just doing shit to annoy her, to get under her skin.
Yes.
Like, how do you not put two and two together and see that he was the problem in the marriage?
But people are still blaming her because
Totally.
she admitted. And it's
Totally.
just crazy. And just like with Jax, like there's people out there like starting like a pro. Listen, it could be another burner account. Maybe it's Jax doing it. I don't know.
It's Frank Drebin is who it is.
He could have another burner account doing this, but it's just insanity. It's insanity.
Yeah.
And Jax was actually talking about it on the after show. He was on the after show with Tom Schwartz and Jesse. And he's like, oh yeah, I think it's so funny. I have like these people like fighting for me. He's like they're like going back and forth at each other.
It's like a Teresa and Melissa thing at this point.
Yeah. Like the fans are fighting each other
each other.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. It's insane. It's totally insane.
Wow.
So he's sitting there waiting for her. He's like, "Oh, she can never be on time." So he calls her and he's like, "Are you coming?" She's like, "No, I'm not coming." And he's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, because I woke up this morning to all these text messages and DMs and pictures. You were out at the bar last night. You got drunk. You were doing these inappropriate things with all these women. I thought you changed. I'm not coming. No, I'm not coming." I was like, good for her.
We
Good
need to
for
see
her.
pictures. We need to see the DMs.
Do we though? You don't
Yeah,
believe it?
I
believe
do.
it.
I believe it, but I want to see them. I want
Okay.
to see the DMs.
She'll show them. I'm sure Britt will show them.
So he was drinking.
Yep.
But the most important, like whatever with the girls, you're separated and you're screwing his friend. So you got no case there. But he was drinking.
Right.
Is the big thing.
Yep. And he was drunk is what, it wasn't even that he was drinking. He was drunk. And he's like, "No, I was home. I was at the bar, but I was home by 11. Okay. Well,
Yeah, he's driving away. He's like, I don't know what she's talking about. I was home by 11
at
o'clock.
11.
Well, you can still be drunk by 11 o'clock. Listen, it's 8:19. The night is young. But I am on my way. So
there you go. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Because you're home and you're safe.
That's right. And I'm not driving.
And you got no babies to take care of. Right.
And everybody graduated high school in my
That's
house.
That's it. Exactly. Yep. So then we see they get to Hawaii and Zack finds out that he's been upgraded to the presidential suite and so is Jesse. And they're all excited about it until they find out that they're actually sharing the presidential suite with each other.
I had no idea.
I was like, oh my God.
Jesse's like, all right, come on, guys. No funny business in that shower.
So, but then we didn't find out on the after show, there was 2 bathrooms.
Did I write it down? Yeah. I'm like, there has to be another bit. Stop it. Like,
there's 2 bathrooms. But Zack said that Jesse wouldn't use the other bathroom because that was the bigger one that Benji and Zack were in. So he would only use the bigger one. So Jesse.
He's like such a princess.
He's so Jesse. So Jesse.
Yeah.
So they have cabanas reserved. I also thought it was interesting.
Go to a swim up bar. I want to go somewhere that has a swim up bar.
I do too. I would like to do that.
We're going to do this research. Does anywhere in New Jersey have a swim up bar? Probably not.
I bet you there is. You know what? I think that there might be. There might be one in Monmouth County, but I don't want to go to one in Monmouth County.
Well, what about the Berkeley Hotel in Asbury, though?
They might have one, you think?
Yeah, we should maybe do a day trip there.
Okay.
We're going to do our research. I wish Seaside, I wish that ocean
Ocean Resort.
Yeah, they don't have a swim up bar, but they have the pool with the cabanas, whatever.
But you can't even get into it unless you're a member. We're SOL
That's
there.
why you do have to be a member.
Yeah, no, we're not members there. Sorry.
No, we're not. Exactly.
But I don't know if you noticed that Danny and Nia and Michelle and Aaron are also sharing a suite.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
They're sharing they have an oceanfront suite. It's not the presidential suite, but they're also sharing a suite.
So Danny and Nia and Aaron and
Michelle are sharing a suite. Yes.
How do you feel about Aaron?
I don't have enough information to make an informed decision. Because I don't like to jump to conclusions. And I don't trust anything Jesse says.
No, I would never base anything on what Jesse says. I did think it was interesting that Aaron said to Michelle that maybe all of them can go on a family trip down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's very hopeful.
High hopes, Aaron.
Living in
hopes.
Disneyland there. I do. When Scott brought up the word squirrely, I do agree with that word squirrely, and I do agree with that when it comes to Jesse and Jason and Jax and Danny and maybe even Aaron. I do think there's something squirrely about, actually even Zack. I think there's something squirrely about all these men.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I don't get that feeling with women for some reason. With men, they're squirrely about certain things. They like to keep things like they're not forthright with what actually is happening, right?
Right.
So I'm going to
not 100%.
Right. I'm going to wait and make a decision on Aaron when I find out more information. We see Jason and Danny are talking in the pool and, they're like, oh yeah, we, you and I, we squashed our beef, but then the ladies the next night, blew it up again. So much for that. Because we know Jason can't be friends unless Janet says she can.
Right.
Can.
Right.
So they call the girls over so that they can have a conversation. And Janet starts out and she says she wants to apologize, that she said she had too much to drink. And I love how Nia said that early in the night. I loved
Absolutely.
that. Love that.
Yep. She's a classy lady.
Janet says, well, those drinks were so strong. She said, I should have never yelled at you. Honestly, I deserved every bit of that fuck you, which I was, Nia said, I'm sorry that I said that. On the after show, they were talking about that. And Janet actually was saying, first, she couldn't remember. She Miss America or Miss USA. Can you believe I got Miss USA to say fuck you? Because she doesn't like to curse on camera.
Yeah, like she's such a bitch.
I'm like, really? Really? And then they brought up how when Danny and Nia were talking at the table at the Sonoma trip, Danny had said something and he said, fuck. And she said, you just cursed while talking to me on national TV. And they brought that clip up. She doesn't like to curse. I respect that. I can respect that. Some people like to curse.
But I'll say this. If that's how you guys talk,
yeah, then talk that way.
Okay. Then what does it matter if you're on TV or not? That's how you talk.
I don't think that that's how they talk. I don't.
And if he said it, that's how he talks.
Think that Nia talks that way.
Or maybe she doesn't.
I don't think
Danny
that she talks,
does.
I don't know.
I'm just saying maybe there's a little bit of merit to the other cast members saying, just be who you are and don't try to be something else.
I don't think that applies with her. I really think that she tries to put herself at a higher standard, and she doesn't like to curse. And she was upset that she did curse. Like, that's not who she is. She doesn't like to curse like that. And the reason I say this is because I don't particularly like to curse either. Not that I don't. I do. I curse sometimes. I do. I will say my other half curses way more than I do. And that's just who it's every other word. So if we happen to be on national TV, I would expect him to be doing that, but I wouldn't expect me to be doing it. I'm not to say that I wouldn't slip out every now and then, because I am human and I do drop the F-bomb, but it is not in my everyday vocabulary. I don't know. That's just my thought on that.
I got you.
And by the way, one of our listeners said that you have been dropping the F-bomb too many times. I know you
saw that.
I saw you apologize.
I did. I apologized. It's a very poor habit. Trust me. And listen, my husband and I have this conversation all the time because he drops F-bombs. I shouldn't say that. Anyway, we say the F word too much, and now my kids do. My kids are 21 and 18, and I can't even tell you. They say it all the time. And it's terrible. But that's how we've always talked.
I know.
They don't do it in front of my parents.
That's good. Listen, you've said this, and I'll say it too. When you grow up in Jersey, we can blame Jersey for everything. You can blame Jersey for a lot. This is one of the things we can blame Jersey for, right?
Yeah, this is how we talk. I'm sorry. Like, who did we say like, if you're offended by that, don't come to Jersey?
It was probably someone from the Valley, right? Wasn't it?
Probably.
It was probably Nia. It was probably Nia, to be quite honest with you. I don't think...
For some reason, I didn't think it was her.
I don't know.
Maybe it was Janet.
Oh,
listen,
no.
This is how we talk. But I'm sorry. I'll try to say the F word less.
Or even if you just substitute it with the F word and don't actually use it. Fudge.
Well, I'll try.
We could give it... We can, fudge.
I'll give it a shot.
All right, we'll try. And it accepts the apology, and after that,
Danny apologized to
Janet, right?
Jasmine stuff, yeah,
exactly. And then Janet accepts the apology, and Nia's, in her confessional, she admits that she's going to be guarded going forward with Janet, as she should be, because you cannot trust Janet.
Don't trust Janet. I'm telling you right now.
No,
there's a big circle with a line in the middle of it with Janet's face. Don't trust Janet. She just wants to be on reality TV too bad. She stalked Sheena.
She's very jealous of Nia. She's very jealous of Nia. You can see she's jealous of Nia. Because people like Nia.
That's it. And I think that's what, so I think last season, Jax and Janet saw how everyone responded to Danny and Nia. I mean, Jax on the first season said, wait until you find out the truth about them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a witch hunt. Jax is spearheading it, and Janet is his, side chick.
Yes, that's it. That's what's happening. So producers asked Jesse, how do you feel about Aaron being on the trip? He said, well, I've had some issues with Aaron. He starts dating my still wife with my 4-year-old daughter. I expect a man to call me up and say, I'm spending a lot of time with your daughter. Do you have any boundaries? What?
No,
what?
Totally off. No way. Nobody's going to do that.
No, nobody's
doing that.
No one. No, that's not happening.
Nope.
That's not happening. Poor Luke. this day, his emotions are all over the place. Tomorrow's the big day. You can see him with Kristen. Kristen knows he's off and doesn't know what's going on. She thinks she's done something wrong. He's the one who's always like, because she's always the one that's all over the place, and he's always the one that's like even keel, and she can feel it. Like she can feel it, but she's like, okay,
I think she thinks it's more about his grandma.
Right. Because she doesn't know. She really does not know. Like, she really is surprised. So I'm glad that they do actually get to surprise her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we see, like you said, Zack and Benji are playing in the shower, and Jesse's like, hey guys, I have to shower. No funny business. Jesse then goes to iron his shirt. I'll be honest with you. As much as I don't like Jesse, I appreciate a man that irons his own shirt on vacation.
He has got his shit together, Jesse.
He really? He's
call
always
him
very
metrosexual. Call him what
Yes.
you want. He is very put together, and he does the work.
He really does. He really does. Listen, I'm okay with that.
There's something very likable about Jesse. There's
Yeah,
just
there
something
is.
very likable. Not anything to do with Michelle, because he's clearly a jerk in that
Yeah.
arena. But there's just, he is kind of funny. He was made for reality TV.
Definitely.
Because he doesn't have any like substance abuse issue. You know what I mean? Like he can have a drink, he can not have a drink, but he's funny, but he's also like a villain kind of. Not
Yes.
really, but kind of, depending
No.
on how you look at it.
No, I totally agree. Jesse is definitely made for reality TV. And you're right. There's something very charming about him.
Yes.
He's very well put together. Yes, I totally agree.
I hope that he and Michelle get to a better place.
Yes, I do too.
Because other than that, I enjoy him on the show. I don't like the Michelle stuff because, he's admit that he does it on purpose to get under her skin. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And the show aside, you have a daughter that you have to consider.
Right. And he has admitted on the after show, like the things that he has said to Michelle and yelled and, called her a slut or a whore or whatever it was he called her. He has admitted that he's horrified by that and that he will have to answer to his daughter about the things that he said.
Right. And, I don't know if we've brought this up. I didn't watch the after show this week, but I have watched it in the past. And I forget who was saying it. It might have even been Janet and whoever it's Janet, Michelle, and Sheena.
Yes.
Who are all together. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know if Sheena or Janet says it, but I think they're right. They're like, you are, to Michelle, they're saying this, you are so classy. And that's who Jesse wants to be with. Jesse doesn't want to be with, just some girl that he met at a bar. He wants to walk into a room with a classy woman who's always put together, and that's you. And he lost that. And that's what he's having a hard time getting over.
And that is so true.
I think that's very true.
Yes, that is very true.
I don't know if she cheated on him or not. Well, she admit to kissing somebody, but there's a reason. I mean, she said they stopped sleeping together after she had Isabella. That's years.
Right.
So, like, why? And she, according to her, she approached him about it and it still never happened. So you can't neglect intimacy in your marriage and not think that somebody's going to seek it somewhere else.
Right. And he also they were seeing Scott together. He was their marriage counselor at one point. And he said that's, Michelle said she didn't want to go anymore. So Jesse continued to go. He said on the after show this week that he's heard that Michelle is now going to see Scott with Aaron. And yeah. And Jax is like, well, that's a red flag this early in. Why do you need to counseling? Wait, what's that all about? I'm like, why is Jax weighing in on this?
Yeah, Jax, like that's it. Like Jax needs to just shut up. Like, go handle your business, Jax. I mean, I don't think it's ever a red flag for anybody to go to counseling, because to me, counseling means that you're trying to improve a situation.
Communication. It's all about, it's all about communication.
Absolutely. So whether you do it 6 months in or 6 years in, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing. But going to the same guy that you went to with your first husband is a little messed up.
Especially considering Jesse's still seeing him.
Yes. That's a conflict. It's a huge old conflict.
Scott is the one who should have said no.
Right. Of course. Of course.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I really don't know about Aaron.
So when Jesse's ironing his shirt, the producers ask him, when your wife, I don't know what they said. Oh, they said, how is it, going on vacation? And he said, well, when your wife cheats on you and says that her boyfriend isn't the one that she cheated on you with, I don't know if you trust somebody like that. So he's still maintaining. And then we see coming up next week, he sits down with him and says, were you involved with my wife while we were still together, whether emotionally or physically? And just the look on his face, again, it could just be editing, but just the look on his face, you're just like, maybe he was, but
I know it's semantics, but the fact that she had his honey in her cabinet
yeah.
before the separation.
Well,
I
that's what
not
Jesse's hanging
not
his hat on.
by my husband, not by my husband, but I have been cheated on. I have a little detective experience in my armor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a huge red flag to me. Like, you're dating this guy now, but his honey's been in our cabinet for a year and we separated 3 months ago.
That's what he's hanging his hat on, is that honey in the cabinet.
With this, I back him up.
Okay. We're going to
I'm
wait and see.
backing Jesse up with the honey theory. But again, if you're not having sex with your wife, she's gonna want to have sex with somebody. So sorry.
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years? No,
that's a long time.
6 months, 8 months, you're going through a rough patch, okay. Years?
No, that's a long time. It's a long
Especially
time.
if she's approaching you about it and trying to talk to you about it and telling you how she feels about it. It's not like a mutual thing where it's like, you know what? We're good right now.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. So we'll have to wait and see. This is episode number 11. I don't know how many more episodes, maybe 2 until we're done.
Is that it?
That's my guess, because I know we need another episode in Hawaii.
It does feel like it's kind of dragging out. Like, it does feel like a long season at this point because it's the same thing over and over again. Oh, but we need to see the engagement.
Well, that's the next episode.
Okay.
So the next episode, they're still in Hawaii. So I'm thinking, that's why I'm saying 2 more episodes. So we'll get maybe, I would think Hawaii is kind of it. Like, what's going to happen? They're going to come back and, is there going to be a big part? No, I would think that Hawaii is kind of the end of it. So I'm thinking 2 more episodes.
All right.
So we'll wait and see, though. And we know that the reunion was filmed a while ago because the 2 girls were pregnant and they both had their babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both had girls? Or no, Nia and Danny had another boy?
I can't
forget.
remember.
I know Kristen had a girl. I think they had another girl. I think they have Asher and then 3 girls.
Okay. All right. We'll have to wait and see until next week. I guess that's it. Thank you for watching and listening. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and give us 5-star reviews.
Bye.
Bye.